Ah! There's a sergeant. Namaste, witchlings. Give me a sec. I have a sergeant under my feet. Okay. Alright. He's back. Ready. Alright. Hey, let's get the... Yeah. Who is in the chat? Let's see real quick, like... It's a raven! Hey! Alright. Ah! Coolio. Sorry, Amy, what did I do to your ear? Oof. Punched me in mine earlier. Poor dog. Alright, do. Sorry about that. I kicked him by accident. This poor pupper. Oh, my poor baby. I'm so sorry, Sergeant Puppy. I just bumped him with my foot again. Foot. All right, here we go. Apparently I cannot talk. All right, we're going to get started here in just one quick second. All right. Namaste, Witchlings, and welcome back to our newly branded Yoga Witch's Cauldron. I am Di, your favorite yoga witch, and I am so grateful you are here with me today in the cauldron as we step into a brand new month of exploration and magic. We have just gotta remember to talk to the right part of the microphone. All right, so we have just turned the wheel into October, and with this shift comes a theme that feels especially resonant in this season: release and letting go. Think about the trees right now, wherever you are. Some leaves are starting to change, bursting into brilliant, gorgeous colors of fire and gold. Others are already loosening their hold and drifting softly down to the ground. Nature, in her infinite wisdom, is showing us what it means to let go with grace. The trees don't cling, they don't panic at the thought of winter, they simply release. And in that act of release, they prepare for new growth in the spring. And so this month, we follow the same rhythm. Each week, we'll be exploring a different aspect of letting go. This week, our focus is on the art of non-attachment, and someone is very attached to his assumed dinner time. Sweet boy, you have half an hour, okay? Now, my witchlings, when I say non-attachment, I know some of you might immediately feel just a little uneasy. Maybe you think it sounds cold, like cutting ties with people you love. Maybe you wonder, does non-attachment mean not caring? Does it mean I have to let go of everything that brings me joy? The answer is no. Non-attachment is not about apathy. It's not about withdrawing from the world or denying yourself love, connection, or passion. Non-attachment is about learning to love fully while holding gently. It's about being present with your life without clinging so tightly that you strangle the joy out of it. Our Sanskrit word of the week is a beautiful one that perfectly captures this idea. Vairagya. I'm not pronouncing it right, but Vairagya. Vairagya means non-attachment. But more than that, it means freedom from clinging, freedom from illusions, freedom from the endless cycle of desire and fear that keeps us stuck. So, in this episode, we're going to stir the cauldron with reflections and practices and stories about letting go. Together, we'll explore how non-attachment shows up in yoga, in witchcraft, and in our messy, magical daily lives. So, settle in, my witchlings. Light a candle if you have one. Wrap yourself in a blanket if it's cold enough for you. Maybe I want an ice blanket. Brew some tea. I've got my Dr. Pepper. This is our sacred time together, and I am so bloody honored you're here. So, why is letting go so important? Both yoga and witchcraft are built on cycles. Breath in, breath out. Waxing moon, waning moon. Planting seeds, harvesting, composting. Creation, destruction, rebirth. And in every one of these cycles, there is a moment of release. A necessary moment where we let go of what has served its purpose so something new can take its place. In yoga, we see this in the very act of breathing. Inhale, we fill the body with energy, oxygen, life force, prana. And exhale, we release, we soften, we empty. Without the exhale, the inhale loses its power. We need both. Case in point, when I first learned box breathing, inhale 4, hold 4, exhale 4, hold 4, right? I got the gist of it pretty quickly, but one of the other ladies that was in the group with me didn't. And she didn't figure out how to fully exhale on the 4. And then she would hold and still have breath and then have to take breath in. So she would stack breaths. And it got to the point that she didn't have room to inhale anymore. This is why letting go and exhaling is important. You have to get rid of what is all used up so you can refill with fresh. Logic tracks, right? So let's think about movement on the mat here. If you hold a pose too tightly, gripping with all your strength, eventually your body begins to tremble, fatigue starts setting in, and your posture collapses. But when you soften, when you let go of the idea of perfect alignment or pushing harder, suddenly the pose becomes sustainable. This is when airplane becomes a resting pose, when you just surrender and assume the pose. You find steadiness, you find ease. In witchcraft, release is woven into every working. You gather your herbs, your candles, your words of intention. You cast your circle, you raise your energy. But then the most important part, you let it all go. You release it into the universe. If you cling, if you obsess over every little detail after the fact, you cut off the flow. You strangle the energy you've raised. And you raise the energy and you build it all up and you build it all up and then you hold on to it. If you don't release it, then the spell just kind of dissipates where you are. And it never has the opportunity to go out into the universe and do its work. So, witchlings, letting go is not about giving up. It's not weakness. It's not indifference. Letting go is power. It is trust. It is surrendered to the rhythm of life itself. Okay, pause for a second, take a breath. I gotta remind myself to breathe because I get passionate here and forget. All right. Think for just one quick moment. What are you holding on to right now? Okay. So think for a moment. What are you holding on to right now? Maybe it's a person. Maybe it's a plan. Maybe it's a dream that you've been gripping with white knuckles. Imagine what it would feel like to soften your hold, even just a smidge. Not to drop it entirely, but to give it space to breathe. That softening, that spaciousness, is the seed of non-attachment. Let's deepen our lens here. Think of the wheel of the year as it turns towards Samhain, that liminal hinge between harvest and winter. The fields are cut back, the fruits gathered, and what remains returns to the soil. Even in our kitchens, the canning, drying, freezing, these are acts of discernment. What do I keep? What do I return to the earth? The land does not hoard. She lets the chaff go trusting that decay feeds the roots. And there's tenderness here too. When we prune a plant, it isn't cruelty, it's care. We remove what's spent so the plant can send energy where it's needed most. What if you pruned your calendar that way? Your habits, your self-talk? What if you let autumn be your permission slip to stop forcing what is already past its season? Imagine your life as a garden you actually like tending. Some beds go fallow intentionally so that they can feed the soil for later. Some projects don't need more water, they need a dignified end, a composting. The magic is this: compost is never wasted. It becomes nourishment for the next thing that's ready to grow. Quick reflection. Put one hand on your belly and one hand on your heart. Feel yourself breathe for a minute. Feel your heartbeat. And now whisper, I honor the season I'm in. And notice what changes in your breath when you tell the truth that way. Now, let's talk about clinging. I am a grade A Klingon. This is me. Sorry. Okay, so we live in a world that teaches us to cling. From the time we're wee bairns in the crib, we're told to chase achievements, to build identities, to lock ourselves into boxes of who we are and what we should become. We cling to jobs, to titles, to relationships, to the idea of success. We cling to money, to possessions, to social media likes, to the stories other people tell about us. And beneath all that clinging is fear. Fear says, if I let go of this job, I won't be worthy. Fear says, if I let go of this relationship, I'm never going to be loved again. Fear says, if I let go of this dream, then what am I without it? But here's the paradox. The tighter we cling, the more we suffer. Imagine holding a rope. The rope is being pulled away from you. The tighter you grip, the more it burns your hands. The pain is in the clinging, not in the letting go. That's what attachment does. It convinces us that our safety is in the grip, but our freedom is in the release. Let me give you a small, really easy example. You have a coffee cup. Have you ever tried to pour fresh coffee into a cup that was already full? No matter how good your coffee is, it just spills over. The cup can't hold it. There isn't room. You have to pour some out, drink it, before you can put more in. That's what non-attachment offers us. The chance to pour a little bit out to make space for something new. But here's the hardest part, my witchlings. Trusting there will be more coffee. Trusting that life, in its abundance, will keep filling us if we make room. That right there is where non-attachment requires courage. Not indifference, not apathy, but courage. And clinging is not just personal, it is so cultural. Consumerism whispers in your ear, ooh, buy this to feel whole. Hustle culture chants, grind harder, rest when you're dead. Even wellness culture can morph into control. If you eat, move, and think perfectly, you're never going to suffer again. Sorry, I can't say that with a straight face. When reality refuses to bend, shame slinks in and our grip tightens. I remember doom scrolling on a really rough night, just swallowing highlight reels as if they were medicine. I clung to this fantasy that there was a hidden lever I could pull to suddenly magically fix everything. But clinging to a fantasy steals our power from the present. When I finally stopped and said, this method isn't working, the air changed. I could actually hear my own wisdom again. So, gently ask, whose should am I clutching right now? Which expectations here are actually mine? If I set down that voice, even for a day, an hour, what returns? Breath? Creativity? Rest? Your life is not a brand. It's a body, a soul, a season. You are allowed to unclench. So here's a tiny practice right here, right now. Think of one should that's loud today. Let's see. I should be doing more to bring in more income. That's mine for today. So replace it with a could. So I should be over this already becomes I could offer myself 10 minutes of rest. I should be doing more to bring in more income becomes I could be relaxing and allowing the things that I'm already doing to germinate. Do you hear the difference here? One kind of tightens your chest and the other one just opens your ribs and opens and... So, let's turn our cauldron spoon towards language and lineage, because words carry spells of their own. Our Sanskrit word of the week is Vairagya, often translated as non-attachment, sometimes as dispassion. Yes, it's very close to aparigraha, which is non-grasping. I want to reclaim that word dispassion from modern misunderstanding. This is not numbness or apathy. Vairagya is clarity. It's the calm that arrives when grasping loosens, the spaciousness you feel after you set something heavy down and realize that your hands can still hold joy. In the Yoga Sutras, Vairagya sits beside abhyasa, steady practice. Not either or, but both and. We show up, we practice, we discipline the body and attention, and we release our chokehold on outcomes. We care deeply, we participate fully, and we stop trying to strong-arm the universe into our preferred shape. That paradox right there is the heart of Vairagya. It's philosophical depth here, Patanjali frames practice and non-attachment as twin wings. Without Vairagya, practice curdles into obsession. Without practice, Vairagya drifts into avoidance. The Bhagavad Gita harmonizes with this. You have the right to your actions, but not to the fruits of your actions. I want to say that again. The Bhagavad Gita points this out and says this: you have the right to your actions, but not to the fruits of your actions. Do the work with devotion. Release the demand that reality pay out on your timetable. This is not passivity. It's devotion to right action over result addiction. So basically, you have the right to do something. You have the right to lift weights every day. You do not have the right to expect that you're going to build the muscles you are thinking you will. Excuse me. On the mat. Here's another example. Excuse me, I'm going to take a sip. On the mat. You're in Warrior 2. Alignment matters, yes. But if your jaw is clenched and your breath is trapped, you've left yoga for performance. Vairagya invites soft eyes, longer exhales, the release of the myth of a single perfect shape. With that release, wisdom returns to the body and the pose begins to breathe you. Spellcraft. You dress your candle, you choose your correspondences, you raise the cone of power, and then stop poking the souffle. Trust heat and time. If you keep checking the spell and checking the spell and checking the spell, you're going to collapse the rise. Release isn't about abandonment. It is faith that energy moves when you let it. In daily life, send the application. Make that appointment. Have that hard conversation. Set that boundary. And then practice Vairagya. Unclench your jaw. Stop rehearsing every possible reply and let the outcomes ripen without your constant poking and prodding. Your effort is your magic. Your release is your wisdom. Discernment versus judgment. Discernment, cousin to last week's Viveka, asks, is this true? Is this helpful? Is this aligned with my purpose? Judgment hisses, this is bad. You are bad. Try harder and maybe, just maybe, you'll deserve it. Discernment clears the fog. Judgment builds a prison. Vairagya belongs to discernment. It says, I can love this and still let it go. I can honor the lesson and return the weight to the earth. Let's see, I need to... So, let's look at some micro practices that build Vairagya. 1 breath pause. Do you feel the urge to check or fix or cling? 1 slow inhale. 1 longer exhale. And whisper, open hands. Just remind yourself, open, let go. Name the hook. I'm hooked by outcome, approval, or control. For me, it used to be I'm hooked on approval. I'm hooked by approval. I need the approval. I need the approval. I need the approval. Naming that creates space. Once you realize that you are grabbing and grasping that approval, When you realize it, you are then able to step back and just let life be. Release by ritual. Write your fear or your expectation down on a little slip of paper. Thank it for trying to protect you, and then rest it overnight in salt or earth, and then discard, toss it. Gentle gaze. This is one in yoga. In poses, soften your drishti. Kind eyes unwind that hard control. So instead of staring hard at your point of focus, and you're obsessed with that point of focus, just kind of relax and let it be. And then language audit. This is what we did earlier. Swap should and could. So instead of saying I should do this, say I could do this. I should be healed by now becomes I could offer myself rest right now. Boundaries and bypassing. Ugh. Vairagya walks with boundaries. Non-attachment is not passivity. Protect your nervous Protect your nervous system. Act wisely within your sphere of influence and release the rest. And beware the shadow of spiritual bypassing. This is a popular thing right now. Saying, I'm not attached while numbing out. I am too enlightened to care. I am too enlightened to care. All the while in the back of your head, you're going, I care a whole lot more than I'm pretending I do, but I'm enlightened, and so I'm not allowed to care. No, that's spiritual bypassing, my friend. True Vairagya feels fully and opens hands anyway. You say, I am terrified of what might come from this, but it's in my best interest to do it, so I'm going to do it anyway. Do not be attached to the outcome. We're going to place a hand on our heart and another on our belly here. We have another mantra. Whisper to yourself, I can hold without clinging. I can love without gripping. I can release without abandoning myself. That is Vairagya in a single promise. I promised you honesty, my witchlings, and this is where I keep that promise today. Non-attachment isn't just a pretty idea for me. It's a road I have walked on blistered, jacked up feet. I had big dreams, the kind that shape your hours and your heartbeat. I wanted to be a professional musician, to live inside sound, to feel the vibration of an orchestra in my bones, to watch rooms lift when a note finds just the right frequency. And then later I felt the sacred pull of becoming a music therapist, to sit where words fail and let rhythm, melody, and breath knit something back together. And intertwined with all of this, I also dreamed of a Navy career, service, structure, and a way to pour my grit into something larger than myself. The ultimate goal was the Navy band, a perfect fusion of music and service. Those identities were not costumes I wore. They were real possibilities, and I gave them real, genuine effort. Practice hours, applications, conversations with mentors. I built the scaffolding, lesson plans, hours getting my fingerings just right, training programs. I could see the shape of that life, the way you can see a constellation once someone traces the lines for you. And then came the quieter truths that would not be argued with. Chronic illness, CPTSD. The body and nervous system I live in are fierce and wise. And they have limits, very hard limits. Some arrived slowly, like fog that becomes weather. Some arrived like a sudden storm that rearranges the coast. And there were days when I could keep the schedule and just keep going, and the day's schedule kept me pinned. There were symptoms I could negotiate with, and others that brooked no compromise. A younger version of me tried to just out-discipline it, out-positive it, be the exception. If I just plan better, if I just push harder, push through it, if I just don't complain. Yeah, grief is a creature that changes shape. At first I called it motivation. The way you call a thunderclap, just noise because you're trying not to be afraid. I bargained. Maybe if I reshape my dream, smaller groups, different roles, less travel. Maybe if I pivot to a related field, maybe I'll be a beginning band director. Maybe if I minimize my symptoms. Maybe if I hide the tremble in my hands and pretend the nights are easy. Bodies keep the truest score. The nervous system is not a debtor's prison. It will not alter biology simply because you have a calendar. Nope. The day I admitted I couldn't do it, not all at once, not in the form I imagined, oof, it wasn't pretty. It was a messy, snotty, sink to the bedroom floor kind of day. It felt like failure, betrayal, erasure. It felt like telling the little girl version of me, the one who scribbled songs in notebooks and marched in crisp lines, that what she had loved was the wrong thing. Yeah. But here's the truth. Here's the truth I learned on that floor. I wasn't letting go of music. I was letting go of one costume that music was wearing, right? So I can't be in the Navy band. Okay. I wasn't letting go of service. I was letting go of one corridor I thought service had to walk down. So I can't be in the Navy band, and my body just isn't cut out for the military. Okay. I wasn't letting go of healing work. I was letting go of a credential that, for me, demanded a body and a nervous system I just could not sustainably offer. So, we pivot. This is where Vairagya stopped being philosophy and started being practice. Not a clean cut, but 1,000 little small releases. Releasing the timeline I thought I lived on. Releasing the aesthetic of what a successful path should look like. Releasing the approval I imagined I needed from people who would never, ever understand my path. Releasing the punishment voice, the one that says pain means you failed. And then, like a tide waiting at the door, other shapes of this dream entered. I still sing. Karaoke, but I still sing. Sometimes I sing to my students lying Shavasana. Sometimes to one of the kids. I still have music. I still do healing. It looks like yoga and ritual, breath and story, tarot and guided rest. I still serve. Not in uniform, obviously, but in circle, swearing a different oath to kindness, to truth, to weaving people back to themselves. That grief didn't vanish. Oh, God. Hold on a second. Personal power surges are a thing. That grief didn't vanish. Oh, there are some mornings. Whoo, it wakes up first. I see the Navy band on TV, and I feel it. I hear a cadence, and something in me just stands up and salutes. I read a case study for music therapy, and I imagine writing my own. That ache is real, and it's allowed. Vairagya doesn't deny it. It asks, what are you gripping right now? What would loosen if you unclenched by 5%? There is a crucial difference between non-attachment and dissociation. Dissociation says, I don't care. Non-attachment says, I care deeply, and I release the demand that reality be different. Dissociation numbs. Vairagya softens. Dissociation empties. Vairagya opens. If you recognize yourself in this, if your body, your mind, or your life has asked you to set down a beloved dream, hear me with both hands on your heart. You did not fail. You adapted. You listened to your truest teacher, lived experience. You are not less for reshaping your dream. You are more. You built a wiser architecture that can bear the weather of your real life. In my daily practice, on flare days, when I'm having hellacious pain or the brain fog is so bad I can barely remember my own name, I still light a candle. I hum a tune and feel it absolutely blooming in my chest. I draw a card and ask a better question. I roll out my mat, maybe 10 minutes, maybe 2, and let breath teach me what's available. I meet you here with the truth of what is, not the story of what should be. That is Vairagya, refusing to abandon myself to chase a costume that does not fit this season. Sorry for punching the mic, y'all. Three questions that help transmute grief into space. What is the essence of your dream? Is it music, service, healing, belonging? When you can name the essence, you can change the form without losing the soul. What does my body say yes to today? Not yesterday, not tomorrow, today. Let that be enough. Where am I gripping a costume that no longer fits? If I set it down, what becomes possible in my real life right now? You can still love the old dream and still open your hands. Thank it for escorting you to this threshold and step through unburdened. That is not betrayal. That is devotion to the living truth. All right. All right, heads up, we are going to be doing some visualization and breathing and closing of eyes. So please, if you are driving, please be safe. We've explored now what non-attachment is and how it's lived in my story. Now let's get practical. Vairagya becomes real when we put it in our breath, our movement, our rituals, our choices. Think of these as spells of release woven into the body, mind, and spirit. Try what resonates, let go of what doesn't. That too is non-attachment. All right, first, the breath of release. Close your eyes. Deep inhale. Hold for a moment. Long exhale. Feel how the out breath teaches the nervous system to soften. 3 cycles with me. Inhale. Hold. Exhale and release. One more time. Inhale. Hold. Exhale and soften. one last time. Inhale. Hold. Exhale and let go. The body learns release through breath before the mind ever agrees. An extended tip here: on really, really stressful days, practice a 1-to-2 ratio. Inhale for a slow count of 4, hold for a beat, exhale to a slow count of 8. Let the longer exhale signal safety to your parasympathetic nervous system. Next, we have a journaling ritual. Write one thing you're ready to release: a fear, a script, a should. Fold it away from you. Thank it for what it tried to protect. And then burn it safely, tear it up, or bury it in soil. Return it to the elements. Let your body see release happen. A prompt to get you moving here. What am I clinging to and why? What does clinging cost me? Does it cost time, energy, joy, your health? What support would releasing this make room for? Whew, I got a few of those. An altar of letting go. Place a small symbolic object on your altar. Every time you sit, acknowledge it. I honor you and I release you. And then, when you feel ready, return it to nature or dispose of it reverently. A variation here: build a little tiny compost bowl on your altar with soil or salt. Place written slips inside over the week, and then empty it outdoors on a waning moon. So every day for the week, take a little slip of paper and write down things that you're releasing every night, and just set them in your soil or your salt. And then on the waning moon, i.e. the nights after the full moon, empty it outdoors. If you are using salt, be careful, because anywhere you dump that bowl of salt, you will never grow anything again. You can probably substitute eggshells for salt here as well. Moving on to our next way of releasing: movement and asana. Forward folds for surrender, child's pose for being held, heart openers like camel for trust. Notice where you brace and practice unbracing. Let gravity be your teacher. Vairagya in motion. Vairagya in motion. Holy shit, I can talk. How about some mantras and affirmations? We know our words are spells, so try, I release what no longer serves me. I trust the flow of life. I open my hands to receive what is meant for me. Non-attachment is freedom. not loss. Whisper them, write them, tape them to your mirror, or use a bath crayon and write them on your mirror. Here's a pro tip. Pair a mantra with exhale. Inhale, I am safe. Exhale to let go. It works. It's a great meditation. Ooh, here we have a candle practice. Light a flame, a candle, and whisper, as this candle burns, so too do I release. Breathe with it for a few minutes, and when you extinguish it, feel your exhale as your own release. If you feel like it, you can dress your candle with a drop of lavender for softening, rosemary for clarity, and or cedar for grounding. A waning moon release. On the waning moon, which, as I just said, after the full moon, on the waning moon, list attachments that you are ready to loosen. Under the night sky, burn the list in a fire-safe vessel or bury it. As the moon wanes, let your grip wane along with it. Circle the items you feel the most charge around and start with those. You don't have to release it all at once. Just 5% counts. Just a little bit. Baby steps. Here's one of my favorites. A cleansing bath. Take a warm bath with Epsom salt, rosemary, and lavender. As you soak, imagine heaviness lifting from your muscles and your mind. And then, when you pull the plug, see your attachments swirling away with the water. A shower variation, let the water run over the back of your heart, so down your back, and say, water, carry away what I no longer need. Am I the only one who just heard Calgon take me away? Probably. A 3-column journal. This is a powerful one as well. Take a journal, draw 3 columns. The title of one, what I'm gripping. The title of the next one, what it costs me. And the final one, what I gain by releasing. Put truth on paper. Clarity unties knots. An example, what am I gripping? I have to answer every message instantly. What is it costing me? Anxiety, poor sleep, and more than a little resentment. What am I going to gain? Well, boundaries, rest, presence with my family. A cord cutting visualization. Note, I said visualization. We are not actually going to talk about a cord cutting ritual here. All right. Envision cords linking you to a belief or an expectation. I have to be perfect. I have to be the top of my class. I have to be the most important whatever. I have to be the smartest person in the room. These are some ideas that you're linking yourself to. Envision a pair of golden scissors. Gently snip each cord, thanking the attachment for its lessons, and then watch the cords dissolve into light. Afterward, after you do this, place your hands on your heart. Take 3 slow breaths while imagining warm light sealing any tender edges left over. Do a compassion check-in. Your hand over your heart. Of course, I want certainty. Of course, I am afraid. I choose gentleness while I release. Compassion melts the glue of clinging. A daily idea. Every time you wash your hands, repeat your compassion check-in. Tie release to a habit you already have. Habit stacking is a very, very effective way to start doing things. Now, these are simply invitations, not obligations, okay? If one doesn't land, release it. Your practice should be a conversation with your life, not a performance for your inner critic. The question remains, where am I gripping? And what happens if I soften by just 5%, just a little bit? Ooh. All right. And that, my witchlings, my darlings, my dears, is the heart of Vairagya. It's not one grand gesture, but 1,000 small softenings. A breath, an open hand, a gentle release. All right, my witchlings, as we come to the close of this week's fun time journey together, remember, letting go isn't weakness. It is not failure. It's the spacious soil where magic germinates. This week, notice where you're gripping too tightly. Maybe it's a belief, a routine, a relationship, a dream. Ask gently, what would happen if I softened by just a teeny tiny little bit? This is the living practice of Vairagya. Not abandoning, not dissociating, but breathing, softening, and opening your hands. The steady courage to trust the rhythm of life. All right, you guys. Join me tomorrow night, Friday night, for our guided meditation and Yoga Nidra Asana, where we're going to go even deeper into release together. And remember, our Sanskrit word of the week, Vairagya, was put out today. Yeah. For today, tomorrow, and Saturday, I will be sharing some reflections, some practices, and some ways to bring non-attachment into daily life on my socials and the blog. If you haven't seen them yet, come on over and join the conversation. We will be back next week to doing it all starting on Sunday. Beginning of the month, midweek, kind of messed everything up for me. I thank you all so very much for sharing this sacred hour in the cauldron with me. May your release be gentle, may your wisdom deepen, and may you always find your magic within. All right. Oh, whoopsie. All right, guys. Go forth, my witchlings, and share love, joy, and kindness everywhere you can, because the world already holds more than enough shadows and strife. Be that steady light that reminds others of hope. tell your loved ones, whether they walk on two legs, fly with wings, curl up with fur, glide with scales, or tiptoe on paws and claws, that they are precious to you. Moments slip away much faster than we expect, and those last goodbyes often come far too soon. And then always, always, always remember, you are loved, you are wanted, you are needed, and your purpose is real even if you haven't figured it out yet. May you feel safe, may you feel loved, and may you always know you belong. May your days be filled with laughter, your nights with rest, and your heart with peace. Carry this with you always. You are never alone. I love you all so much, my witchlings. Namaste. All right, let's check in with the chat, see what everybody has to say now that I have talked to your ear off. I'm so glad John was here. And we had Stitch, too. Hello, everybody. Nice. It's Tiny Fox. Hey. Sweet. I see some familiar faces, names. Thank you guys all for joining us here. Aw. I'm sorry, Raven, I spaced it. Oh. People. Ow. Thank you, John. I'm glad to know it was useful and helpful. Yeah, I'm going to stick around for a couple of minutes, Andrea. But I am turning my air conditioner back on because it's warm in here under the lights. Oh, are you still? Okay, never mind. I won't. Okay. Stick around for a minute or two. Just a little bit because enjoy seeing the gray because it's going away. Oh, man. Something else I thought of as I was reading this. And parents will understand this one. The non-grasping of our children. I love my kids. I love my children. 2 pieces. I did not exactly want them to move out right away as soon as they turned 18 or whatnot. But I also knew that I needed to let them go and live their own lives. Have a good night, John. Get some rest. How am I, Andrea? I am here. Oh. The fact that the theme for this week is the art of non-attachment and the art of letting go is, yeah, very timely. Because the anniversary of my enlistment in the military was like a week and a half ago, I think. And that is oftentimes a rough day for me because I did want to make a career out of my military service. In my defense, I was 17 years old and not the woman I am today in some aspects. I was still very much my mother's child. And so I wanted to make that a career, and I wanted to be so many things. I wanted to protect and serve and help and heal. And I swore my oath to one of the most important people in my life. And when I didn't even manage to make it a full year on active duty, I was crushed. I was scared to death to see my grandparents again because I felt like I had let them down, particularly my grandfather. And, oh my God, the ass chewing I got for that. I was very firmly told you are not home because you did something wrong or because you couldn't hack being in the military. You're here because your body couldn't do it. That's a completely different animal. And I still occasionally cling to that. If I could tell my younger self anything, what would it be? She was wrong. And it does get a whole lot better. I mean, the It Gets Better project, it sounded so cheesy, but God, was it accurate. Yeah. I would tell myself that yes, you're going to break a couple of promises you made to your grandfather, but they are breaks he would want you to make. I remember at my grandparents' 50th wedding anniversary party, I made the comment to my grandfather that I was only going to get married once. I'm on number 4. And he would not have wanted me to stay with 1, 2, or 3. He really would not. So he would have been very proud of me for realizing that I was worth so much more than the way I was being treated. And yeah. So yeah. But I have beat myself up over that one more times than I can count at this point. But the other thing I would tell my younger self is she does die eventually. Growing up was not easy for me, and finally becoming an adult and being my own person and figuring out who Di was huge. Because for 17 years, I was expected to be something else. I had to be her clone or his little sister or this or that, the gifted student or the talented musician or when did I ever get to figure out who I am in all of this? Yeah, those things were accurate. They were part of who I am. But there's the key word, part. And the fact that everyone around me was so attached to whatever identity they had decided was them. I have a few that I can think of off the top of my head. My dad was the veteran and ex-police officer. One of my brothers was the athlete. The other one was the actor and the musician. And then the special one. And then came me, I was the gifted one. I know he is. I have told the story a few times, and Kat's in the living room and will back me up on this one. Y'all know my Namaste cards. One of the Namaste cards says to imagine getting a hug from someone you care about. Because your brain doesn't know that the person isn't there. By thinking about them, you bring them to you. My little brother had passed away not too long before this, and so I was thinking of him. Yeah, that's not who stepped in. My grandfather wrapped his arms around me, and I lost my shit. Man behind the curtain was watching, and he had gotten up to either go make a cup of coffee. Yeah, either, let's see, these here, you see them here, or if you're, there it is, there's the landscape version. But yeah, the man behind the curtain got up to go to the bathroom as I started reading the card, which normally is safe for him to do. And when he came out of the bathroom, I was laying here head down on my desk, just bawling. And everybody in the chat is going, "We're here for you. We love you. It's okay." It took me like 5 minutes to be able to get back to myself. And my poor husband is going, "What the hell just happened?" But yeah, another time, it was, let's see, grandfather passed away Easter of 99. And we went to Portland, flew in an airplane from San Diego to Portland, Oregon on New Year's of 2000. So that was a fun one. So we chanced the Y2K. It was great. Spent like a week with my grandmother, and Andrea made a comment, and I am giving evidence that I agree. But we were staying at the complex that my grandparents had lived at. My oldest was laying on the floor between the twin beds that we had for my husband and I. And I catch a little bit of movement out of the corner of my eye right by the window. And in about the amount of time it would have taken to walk from the window to between the beds, my son started screaming and rubbing his forehead. I firmly believe my grandfather blessed my son that night. So I know he's still around. Which is creepy as hell at times, let me tell you. But yes. The letting go of the expectations of my life, of what other people expected, has been probably the hardest part. Because, well, I was never allowed to have my own dreams and expectations. All right, y'all. At least we fed the puppers. So Sarge isn't in here giving me the look and the yips. I'm going to wrap up for the night and go do hair. That's why I unbraided it and brushed it. Because we are going to be dyeing hair tonight. I'm looking forward to this. So, go out there and have a fantabulously wonderful, magical rest of your day or night, wherever you are. And I will see you guys for Daily Draw tomorrow. Woohoo! Love ya. Good night.